Haunted Thanksgiving at Parker House. The Parker family had inherited the plantation from a distant relative, eager to experience the grandeur of a traditional Thanksgiving celebration. But as the festivities commenced, an unsettling feeling began to creep over them, a sense of unease that grew with each passing moment. The first sign of trouble came when the grandfather clock in the hall began to chime incessantly, its relentless tolling echoing through the house. The Parkers exchanged uneasy glances, their hearts pounding in their chests. As the clock's chimes grew louder and more insistent, a strange chill settled over the room. Suddenly, the house lights flickered and died, plunging the plantation into darkness. The Parkers fumbled for candles, their voices echoing in the oppressive silence. As they huddled together in the flickering candlelight, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night, sending shivers down their spines. One by one, the Parkers vanished into the darkness, their desperate cries swallowed by the silence of the house. The remaining family members searched frantically, their fear mounting with each passing moment. But the old plantation seemed to absorb them, its walls closing in on them like a living entity. In the panic-stricken chaos, the Parkers stumbled upon a hidden room, a secret chamber concealed within the plantation's depths. Inside, they found a collection of ancient artifacts, each one radiating an aura of malevolence. As they touched the artifacts, a wave of terror washed over them, their minds assaulted by images of unspeakable horrors. The family quickly realized that they had stumbled upon something dark and sinister, something that had been hidden away for centuries. As they moved deeper into the hidden room, they saw that the artifacts were arranged in a particular order, and that each piece represented a different aspect of evil. The first artifact was a small, intricately carved box that seemed to pulse with a dark energy. As they touched it, a wave of nausea washed over them, and they were enveloped in a vision of a shadowy figure creeping through the woods, hunting its prey. The second artifact was a rusted, medieval-looking dagger, its blade covered in strange symbols that seemed to shift and writhe. As they picked it up, they were filled with a sense of dread, and they could almost feel the dagger's thirst for blood. The third artifact was a black, obsidian mirror, its surface rippling ominously. When they looked into it, they saw a reflection of a place that they could not quite recognize, a place shrouded in darkness and despair. It was a place where the dead walked and the living quaked in fear. As they reached for the fourth artifact, a strange voice echoed through the room, a voice that seemed to come from beyond the grave. "You should not have come here," the voice whispered, sending shivers down their spines. The Parkers froze, their eyes widening in terror. The voice seemed to be coming from all around them, its words reverberating through their very souls. Suddenly, the artifacts began to glow with an otherworldly light, their energy merging into a blinding vortex of power. The Parkers were caught in its grip, their bodies writhing as they were transported to another realm. When they opened their eyes, they found themselves in a world of darkness and shadows, a world that reeked of decay and death. Above them, a blood-red moon loomed, casting an eerie glow over the landscape. The voice spoke again, its words cold and menacing. "Welcome to the other side, Parkers. You have unlocked the gateway to the realm of the dead. And now, you shall never leave." The Parkers looked at each other in horror, realizing the grave mistake they had made. They were trapped in a world of darkness with no hope of escape. The artifacts they had touched had brought them to this place, and now they were at the mercy of the forces that controlled it. As they stumbled through the bleak landscape, they heard the sound of footsteps behind them, the footsteps of creatures that lurked in the shadows, waiting to pounce. They knew that they had to find a way out, and fast, before they became trapped in this world forever. But as they searched for an escape, they realized that they were not alone. There were others in this world, others who had been trapped here like them, and these others were not friendly. The Parkers soon found themselves surrounded by a group of ghoulish beings, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly hunger. The creatures advanced on the family, their sharp claws glinting in the moonlight. The Parkers stumbled back, their backs pressed against a decaying tree. One of the creatures lunged forward, its jaws gaping wide, ready to sink its teeth into the soft flesh of the family. But just as the creature was about to strike, A figure appeared out of nowhere, wielding a gleaming sword. With a swift motion, the figure sliced through the creature, its body disintegrating into dust. The rest of the creatures retreated, their eyes darting fearfully towards the figure. The figure turned towards the Parkers, revealing a face that was both beautiful and terrifying. It was a woman, with long flowing hair the color of fire, and eyes that glowed with an otherworldly light. She wore a suit of armor that seemed to ripple and shift, as if made of liquid metal. "Do not be afraid," the woman said, her voice like a soft, warm breeze. "I am Morana, the keeper of the gateway. I have been watching you, Parkers, and I believe that you hold the key to our freedom." The Parkers looked at each other in confusion, unsure of what the woman meant. "You touched the artifacts, did you not?" Morana asked, her eyes piercing them with an intense gaze. "You have unlocked the power of the gateway, and now you have the ability to control it." The Parkers realized what she meant, their minds racing with possibilities. If they could control the gateway, they could use it to escape this world, to return to their own realm. "But how do we control it?" one of the family members asked, his voice trembling with fear. Morana smiled, a wry grin playing on her lips. "That, my dear, is something that you will have to learn for yourselves. The power of the gateway is not something that can be easily controlled. It takes great strength and willpower to wield it, but I will help you, guide you through the process. Together, we can find a way out of this world and back to yours." The Parkers felt a glimmer of hope stir within them, a sense that they might be able to escape after all. They looked at Morana, saw the determination in her eyes, and knew that she was their only hope. "Teach us," they said in unison, their voices ringing with resolve. "Teach us to control the gateway, and we will use it to escape this world." Morana nodded, her eyes glowing with a fierce intensity. "Very well, but be warned, Parkers. The power of the gateway is not something to be trifled with. If you misuse it, you could unleash forces beyond your control, forces that could destroy everything you hold dear." The Parkers nodded, their eyes fixed on Morana, their determination growing with each passing moment. They knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger, but they were willing to do whatever it took to escape this world. Morana led them through the twisted landscape, showing them the secrets of the gateway and teaching them its ways. Together, they delved deeper into the realm of the dead, their minds and bodies tested at every turn. But as they learned more and more about the power of the gateway, they realized that there was more at stake than just their own survival. They had the ability to control the gateway, to wield its power for good or for evil, and they knew that there were others out there who would stop at nothing to get their hands on that power. As they moved closer to mastering the gateway, the Parkers knew that they would have to face their greatest challenge yet. They would have to confront the forces that sought to control the power of the gateway, forces that were willing to destroy everything in their path to achieve their goals. Morana prepared them for the battle ahead, honing their skills and sharpening their resolve. They trained tirelessly, preparing themselves for the confrontation that was to come. Finally, the day of reckoning arrived. The Parkers stood at the edge of the gateway, ready to face their enemies and unleash the full power of the gateway. They knew that the battle ahead would be the greatest challenge they had ever faced, and that victory was far from certain. But they also knew that they had come too far to turn back now. They had to fight, to protect the power of the gateway, and ensure that it was used for good, not evil. The battle raged for hours, with both sides trading blows and unleashing their full power. The Parkers fought with all their might, their bodies and minds pushed to the limit. But they refused to give up, refused to let their enemies control the gateway and use it for their own nefarious purposes. At last, the tide of the battle turned in their favor. The Parkers unleashed the full power of the gateway, channeling it into their weapons and their bodies. The forces of evil were thrown back, their bodies disintegrating into dust as the power of the gateway consumed them. The Parkers stood victorious, their bodies and minds exhausted but their spirits soaring with triumph. They had saved the power of the gateway, ensuring that it would be used for good and not evil. Morana appeared before them, a look of pride on her face. "You have done well, Parkers," she said, her voice filled with admiration. "You have proven yourselves worthy of the power of the gateway, and I am proud to call you my allies." The Parkers smiled at each other, their hearts filled with a sense of accomplishment. They had faced their greatest challenge and emerged victorious, and they knew that they could face anything as long as they had the power of the gateway at their disposal. But as they prepared to leave the realm of the dead, they felt a sense of longing in their hearts. They had seen so much in this world, experienced things that they never thought possible, and they knew that they could never forget the things they had seen and learned. Morgana seemed to sense their feelings, and she smiled at them knowingly. "You have been changed by the power of the gateway," she said. "But take heart, for you will always carry a piece of this world with you. And who knows, perhaps one day you will return to this realm to use the power of the gateway for good once again." The Parkers nodded, their minds and hearts filled with a sense of awe. They had learned so much in this world, and they knew that they could use that knowledge to make a difference in their own realm. They stepped through the threshold, returning to their own world, feeling a sense of accomplishment and determination that they had never felt before. For years, the Parkers used the power of the gateway to do good in their own world. They fought against injustice and evil, using the knowledge they had gained from their experiences in the realm of the dead to make a difference in their own realm.